And we've otherwise done well. Our attendance is running at 9 o'clock, anywhere between 70 to 100, and 8 o'clock is between 15 and 25, depending on the weather and all that other stuff.
A couple real quick things before I do the deed with finances. As we've talked about the remodeling of this space and the sanctuary, Chuck and I met with the contractor and the architect and their team on Thursday, and things are moving along at a pretty good clip. There's the potential that we could actually see work being done in this building around the middle of March. So that'll be phase one. We'll remodel this space, not the kitchen and not the bathrooms, but this space and the space next to it will be phase one. Phase two will move over to the sanctuary. That phase will be a little bit longer. It's definitely going to be a little bit more interesting because of the pews and the height of the ceiling and everything that goes with that. Potentially we could see that moving sometime in summertime. And then after that will be what we're calling phase three, which will be the complete renovation of the restrooms in the back here. And that order of things is chosen specifically so that inspectors and permits being pulled are only being done at the end of all the other work, so that we don't end up in a situation where we're having to add sprinkler systems or do things, crazy like that. So that should be coming soon. Hopefully by the end of this month, the Arts Thereafter building will be delivered. That also is moving quick. You'll hear from Phil today. He's here there. You'll hear from Phil today. Phil's actually done a ton of work on his own, helping us get the permitting and the work that needs to be done to connect that building, and we thank you for that, Phil. Chuck and I sometimes are a little maxed out on time, and Phil grabbed that ball and ran it. So, today, probably the first annual meeting you've been to in a while where there are no elections. In case you're not aware, according to the bylaws, whenever a church has an interim pastor or an interim rector, the vestry is frozen for that period of time. So technically the vestry has been frozen since the day Father Rob gave his notice back in end of 2019. So the vestry is in fact frozen, and it will continue to stay that way unless something changes to where we decide to move forward with a full-time rector. However, the vestry is very, very pleased with Father Richard and Esther and the work that they've done, so far with St. Luke and St. Peter, and we intend to extend him another 4 years as the interim rector. So obviously that does have to get approved by the diocese, which that process is actually kind of already begun. So with that being said, let's talk money a little bit. Everybody's favorite thing. It's unfortunate that the 1 year where there's so much positive to talk about from a financial standpoint, Doug is not the one up here speaking. Because for so many years, Doug has had to come up here and talk about some doom and gloom and how tight the budget is and how tight money is. And this year, we're not in that position, but obviously as a vestry, we recognize that Doug's hard work and previous wardens and vestry's hard work is what got us to this place. So thank you very much, Doug. I'm happy to share God with you. So for the year of 2021, the church actually finished positive over $35,000 on the bottom line. And that takes into account all of the stuff that we were able to pay cash for along the way. Like the bush hogging of the property, a lot of little upgrades here and there throughout. So, over the course of 2019, the church took in about 240, I'm sorry, that's expensive. Hold on, I'm on the wrong page. The church took in about $221,000 in giving, rental income from Arts Thereafter and the preschool. Our contributions, which is checks that go into the plate from folks that do not pledge, was about $80,000. Plate money, which is just anonymous cash, was about $6,000. And then actual pledges from parishioners was $134,907. So fast forward to 2022 now, we received, I believe, 46 pledges, which is down a little bit in the number of pledges from actually 2019. And the total amount of those pledges was roughly 800, so $127,800. Again, that's actually down a little bit in actual pledges. However, in talking to Jackie, I know there's some of you out there that have pledged in the past that maybe did not pledge this year. Unfortunately, we cannot make a budget based on hope. We have to make a budget based on what's been pledged. So we're hoping to be blessed again in 2020 with above budget taking as far as the pledges go. And we know that you guys will continue to be really good tithers, and your vestry will continue to be really good stewards of the money. So based on that, we have a total contributed budget this year, which you guys should all have in front of you. I apologize for the small print. I have good eyes, so it doesn't bother me, but borrow somebody's glasses next to you. Is there some more budget sheets? Yeah, it's a separate page. I was late getting it to Jackie, so she couldn't include it in the packet. This is really just this is a very general breakdown of the budget. There is a detailed version of this. If at any time any of you have any questions or concerns, or you want to see what the budget and the finances look like, all you got to do is reach out to Jackie or one of your vestry members. They'll be happy to provide that information for you. So for 2022, we are budgeting to receive about $215,000 in contributions, and that also includes, again, the rental income from Arts Thereafter and the preschool. And we're projecting to finish the year with about an $8,000 overage based on that budget. So again, last year $222,000. I'm sure as generous as this church is, that we will far exceed that $215,000. But we have to make a budget based on that, and it's awesome to see that we can pay all of our bills and all of our people on less money than what we even took in the last year, which gives us a kind of comfort to be able to move forward with these projects and some of the other stuff that we're trying to do. So if any of you feels called to donate separately or make gifts towards the remodeling of any of the buildings, go ahead and see one of your vestry members or Jackie, and we will happily accept that gift and add that to our building fund. As you know, materials and labor are not cheap right now. So what we could have done even 6 months ago is going to be different even now. And real quick before, just so everybody knows, can the vestry members stand up real fast? If you ever need to know who to go complain to, Doug's the best one over there. He is the most experienced. So, unless anybody has any questions about the finances or anything else vestry related, I will give it up for Victoria. Awesome, thank you.
Do it.
Real quick, thank you to our vestry. They worked really hard, and thank you all for your generosity to keep St. Luke and St. Peter moving forward. And Victoria, this is our preschool director.
Hi. Everyone knows me and I've talked a lot, so you probably don't want me to sit up here and talk for too long, but I relax. I always say I am so blessed to have been the director for, this is 17 years. I've taught for 16 years, directed for 17 years, which, do the math, I only taught 1 year before God said, now you're gonna run the place. And it just kind of runs itself. It's not about us. Nothing we do here in this church should ever be about us. It's about what we're doing it for. We're doing it for God. We're doing it for kids. We're doing it for everybody to just come find Jesus. So I always say, when it's about us, we need to reevaluate. We have 80 children. It fluctuates, 78 to 80 children. A lot of people don't know. In that building over there, it's not just a a church building that sits there. We do ministry 5 days a week. God has chosen every teacher. I'd like to say I chose them, but they can tell you there was never any interviews. I just said like, hey, God picked you. What's your last name, by the way? With Katy, I got the name Katy, asked a parent named Katy, and then realized, oh my gosh, it's not you. I said, I'm sorry, it's not you. She's like, good, because I didn't really feel it was me. And I went to Katy, and it was her. So that's how it works, and that's why they've all been here, like, I think it's from 5 to 17 years. And it's a part-time job. We're a part-time preschool, but it's a ministry. We're doing God's work. And I am so proud to work with the people I work with. And Father Richard was just sent from God. And he's just been a great addition. And, you know, being a pediatrician and ex-pediatrician, that helps too. Because we're always like, hey, what do you think about this? So that's about it.
And you come across the parking lot?
Yeah. Look at this. You want to check this kid out? So it's just been awesome. And, you know, COVID, we were concerned like everyone else. We had people calling, you put masks on little kids. We don't. We don't. And we have stayed full. And knock on whatever, thanks be to God, we have not had an issue. We have not had to shut down. So we are so protected in this place. And I thank you for all your support. And if you ever want to see our cute little preschool, just come on, we'll give you a tour. And if you have anybody that's interested, we opened up in-house registration, and in a matter of 6 hours, we filled up 2 classes. So we open open registration March 1st. So if you know anyone, tell them to go to lukeandpeterpreschool.org, and they can register March 1st, because that'll open up, and it won't last long. We don't advertise, but we don't need to, because the parents do the advertising and God does the rest.
Right.
So I'm actually going to speak for Rose too. So she's a little smaller. So she might be small in stature, but she's big in passion for children and for Jesus. And the biggest thing that's such a blessing to watch is digging. And I know you've heard digging. Some of the kids are like, what are we going to dig? It's a curriculum called Diggin', and it's awesome. Katy helps out with that. I help out with that. And we get 30 to 40 kids on a Wednesday. So we do it the first and the third Wednesday. But 30 to 40 children. Now, you probably say, like, why don't they come to church? We try our best. We invite all the time. But until it's a priority for parents, that part is not going to happen. But on Wednesdays, it's our own church. It's like a dig-in church up in here. So as long as you're teaching about Jesus, it doesn't matter where you do it. The church can be anything. It doesn't have to have beautiful stained glass windows. It can be in your house. It can be outside. It can be in this parish hall. It's wherever you ask Jesus to be and to teach children. And I just thank Rose for having a vision. And when people said, oh, no one's going to come out on Wednesday night, they're too busy, they're too this. And some people are going to be busy. They are. But she grew this amazing ministry. It's like growing flowers in a sandbox. It's a sandbox. It should have grown 30 to 40 flowers, but it did. And Katy can tell you, we get so much out of it, it fills our cup. So if you're ever, you don't have to have kids, you can come at 5:30, have grilled cheese and soup and talk to some of the parents that come. You don't have to have a kid, you can just come and fellowship with us every first and third Wednesday. Because it's not just about teaching kids, it's about community. It's about building relationships. Oh, I think Chuck maybe came up with that a couple years back, right, Chuck? Building relationships through Christ-like love. And we're still doing that. So come out and join us. And I just thank God for all the opportunities to teach kids about Jesus, because they're the future and this world is broken. So, thank you.
I want to thank Victoria and also Rose. These guys do, and all the teachers do an amazing job with these kids, and they're funny. I attended the chapel with them, and they're a blast. All right, and we'll have Bailey come on up and talk about her youth ministry.
waters. Now I got married 2 years ago, almost, it'll be 2 years this year, but I'm in the church, and I've grown up in the church since I was 3. And growing up, when I started youth ministry, I always look back and I look at when Beth and Jeff were in youth ministry, and they taught me so much, and they laid the foundation of what it means to be a Christian, and I'm so appreciative for that. So every time that I do youth group, I always think of them. So, but last year around this time, the previous youth pastor was he was leaving, and he asked if I would be interested, and I would help him all the time. I was just kind of a youth leader, and I volunteered with him, and I loved it. And he asked if I would be interested, and I said, of course. So we went with the church, and I started doing Wednesday nights, and I absolutely adore the kids that come. We have a small little group of about 8, but they are full of energy and passion and a lot of things. And I notice most of them are middle schoolers right now. We have a couple high schoolers, but they are just in a lot of need. They have a lot of things to discuss, and they come with all these just different things that they're feeling, and my goal is just to provide a safe place for them that they can come and talk to someone that's not their parent, and another safe adult that they can speak with about things. And really that's what I feel like God has just called me to do with them, and be with them and share things with them and lead them in a life that they can just be like Jesus and love like Jesus. And I just witnessed some really cool things. A couple weeks ago, we were at Rock the Universe, and 2 young girls were talking with each other, and it was the coolest thing. I was like, wow, I don't even know if I can do that. The one girl looks at the other, and she goes, tell me what you don't like about me. I was like, what? I'm listening to this conversation. So they're talking, and they're like, you can't grow your friendships unless you know what you don't like about the other person and what they don't like about you, because then you can work on those things. And I was so amazed at that conversation, because they're 6th graders, like, who has these conversations? And so I was talking with them about it. I said, you guys are so amazing to have these conversations with each other. So, because most adults can't even do that. You get the butt hurt about it, and so it was really, really cool. And I'm so blessed to be a part of the church, and to be a part of youth ministry, and I just pray that everything continues to grow, and that we can just fellowship and grow friendships together. So, thank you.
Bailey, in addition to being the youth, she also sings really nicely too.
Thank you.
All right. Speaking of music, Mr. Timothy Hearn is our music director. He's awesome.
Good afternoon. Everybody knows it's not about me, it's about God. What I do is what God puts on my heart to do. The Spirit of God flows through me, flows through the choir, flows through the congregation. That's what it's about. So everything I do, I'm happy to do. I've been doing it for probably about 40 years. Doing music for churches. Taught 35, doing music in schools. So the music ministry of this church, as you see, still during COVID time, the choir has grown. The choir has grown. Most churches can't say that. And I am blessed just to be here at this particular time to help this choir continue to grow and to be a blessing to the church. And that's thanks to the choir that has been with us. Some has moved on and moved to other places. Some have sat down a little bit, and I'm still But I want to thank all the people that have participated and are participating in the choir. If you come on Wednesdays, you see it's just a joyful thing that we do there. Half the time we're kind of laughing through what we do. But in the end, we end up doing the singing, which is praying for the church and with the church to God. That's what we do. So the other thing that I do too is that I'm involved in several other things throughout Central Florida. I'm part of, I teach at a music studio. And through that studio, we've been bringing a little business here at the church. Like we have recitals here. We have another one coming up in the spring. We had one in November. We had a festival. We're part of the National Association of Music Clubs. And we had a festival here. We had hundreds of kids come through here testing. We have a scholarship program coming. So I'm trying to bring other avenues of music through this church because the venue here is just great for performances and for other situations dealing with music. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to be your music minister, and we still have room. I'm going to do some moving around up there to kind of add more space because we need more space, and there's still room. I will put chairs in the aisle there. I would take one of the deacon's chairs and turn that around. And I'm hoping that we will actually start back with, I love doing cantatas every year. We did it for several years, then COVID hit, but I'd like to start that back this year again. So be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing, those that come on Wednesdays, I'm gonna piggyback on that. Dig in, leave your kids, come sing.
We're truly blessed really to have him and this awesome choir that keeps growing and making a joyful noise for God. Phil, Mark, thereafter. Sure.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'll always come before you super thankful and just super blessed that we're actually able to share the same property as every person here. But we're just so thankful. And one of the goals that we've been trying for these last few years, pretty much since COVID hit, well, ever since we've been here, is trying to kind of shrink that space in between the church and the parking lot, and just try to kind of unify with everybody here about being an outreach to people in the community and children in the community, and just pointing them all to Jesus, like Victoria said. That's kind of been our goal from the beginning. And, like everyone, we have to kind of refocus every now and again and be like, wait a minute, this is the reason why we're doing this. We're trying to teach kids about Christ and God and just the love of Christ. And but we always want to better the relationship between Arts Thereafter and St. Luke and St. Peter. And Mr. Hearn, I played drums for him a little bit, and it was awesome. But we've got Miss Bailey and Miss Denise over there, and I've said it before, but I want to say it again because it feels so true that we enjoy sharing roots with people that are implanted in the church. We like having cross ties together. We just, all we want to do is really just kind of join with everybody here. We have about 75 students across the parking lot. We have a ton of more students than we had last year in what we call a funnel, making sure that those families are the right type of families to have on this property, that are going to have children that are going to be respectful of the property, that are going to be thankful about being over at Arts Thereafter. I mess with Jason and Chuck all the time that if they were to surprise me with 2 or 3 buildings, I would still be able to just fill them. It would almost be like overnight. But a lot of families are seeing that their education that they've been used to, or the education that we grew up with, it doesn't necessarily work that way anymore, and they're looking for something different. And the field of education hasn't really changed in the last 120 years, but we're over there, and it's a different type of education for the 21st century. I'm not going to bore you with it now. If you'd like to come across the parking lot ever and have a conversation about how we do schooling, you're more than welcome to. Trying to figure what else it is. Bailey, what am I missing? There's got to be something else. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I think that's it.
Don't you have a performance coming up soon?
We do have a performance. It is, we actually kind of grew and created kind of a little bit of a branch. It's the Arts Thereafter theater troupe. It's like a theater group members. And what they work with is a lot of the homeschooling families. They don't really have a school to be able to perform with. And so there's a co-op that they're all part of, and they kind of come under the branch of our school, and they're able to perform. And I think it's Susical they're having. And they had to push it back because of COVID. Somebody had COVID, and this person had COVID, that person had COVID. And so it was like, all right, let's just take a month. Let's let everybody who's supposed to have COVID have COVID. and then we'll come back in about a month and make sure it's kind of worked its way through and everybody's done. And so I think it's going to be early March, hopefully before the building starts getting worked on. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I should have taken notes and written the notes and brought them up or something. But I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you. You do a really good job with these kids. I go over there periodically.
It's all because of Miss Jen. She does it all.
And now our pastoral care and prayer ministry leader, the one and only Deacon
See, I even need to be prayed for to get up here. Okay, you have the minutes from the last 2 years, and everything remains almost the same except for the visiting people we had before. Things have changed, times have changed, and at times we get restrictions from diocese as to whether or not we can visit people in home. We would like to know, we have a prayer list. We have a list of people who are sick and shut in, but sometimes people want to stay by themselves. They don't want to be bothered with visit, but they would like to have a prayer. We do pray for you every day. I know I do. But we would like to know if you would like a visit. We would like to know if you want a special prayer. You can do so by contacting Jackie, and Jackie will contact me. And what we're trying to do is to have a prayer tree or a prayer chain, whatever you want to call it. And I remember, I think Father Robert done this where you could select some names, and those are your special people to pray for. If you want to do that, that's fine. But we still would prefer to have the prayer chain where we have a list in alphabetical order, and then we go down the list. You call this one, tell that one that this person is tell. And I must confess to you that I'm a Sunday driver. So I don't go highways, I don't drive nights. So if somebody needs help, it still remains the same. Somebody could offer me a ride, I am willing to go anytime, anywhere, because that's what I have to do. And when we're going, visiting these days, I have a special driver, because he doesn't like to travel with people who drive on the wrong side of the road. So in all seriousness though, we need to get back to praying for each other, praying for our church, praying for our children. I don't know if we're comfortable with having people in our faces, but at the end of communion, we had prayer warriors in the back of the church, where you could stop and get a decent prayer. Not that the one I offer is decent. You know, you can interact with people and feel what they're feeling and give them a little bit more love. That's what I would like to see happen. Not just for the people who are sick and shut in, but for the entire church. We need that right now. So let us know if you're interested in being a part of the prayer group. And if you look in the back of the church, we had some handouts there of the different ministries we are doing this in the back of the church, 2 pages. So whatever you want to do, there's a form in here where you can sign up to do your prayer ministry. Did I take it from you, man? You can repeat it, because yours is really different from mine. But please continue to be prayerful, not just for the sick and shut-ins, not just for ourselves, but for the church, because we're going through a difficult time right now. We would like to see more people in the church, because people do need to be in communion with each other. That's what we're all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Now that we're sort of coming out of COVID, Deacon Dorothy and I have been visiting more and more people. So if you know someone who needs a visit, we go as a team. And, if I can't make it, I'm blessed to have two deacons. Deacon Eric is back there. He's relatively new. And I'm really blessed to have all of them here helping. And, we'll be going out also with Dorothy and whatnot. We also have a prayer box over where the candles are. If you need a prayer, if you know someone who needs to be prayed for, drop one of those yellow pieces of paper in there. Tell them the name, what you need prayers for, or what that person needs prayers for. Tell us if you want to be included, if their name wants to be included on Sunday or not, and we will do that. Okay. And now, this lady who I know is going to talk to you about ministries. And she's turning another year today.
That's why I brought notes, because I'm too old and I don't remember. I want to start first by saying we are so blessed. We talk about it every single day to be a part of this family. We go home, and on our drive, when he told me where we were coming, I said, 40 minutes each way, are you serious? And as we sit there in the car and we think about what's going to happen throughout the day, and afterwards what happened throughout the day, we're like, we are truly blessed. Truly, truly blessed. So we are so thankful for all of you, and I don't know what else to say because then I'll cry. But I'm here to talk about ministries, and Dorothy, no, you did not take my job because there's nothing, everything needs to be repeated. We need ministries for various reasons. This church depends on ministries. Every church depends on ministries. In the last year, we did not have ministries, or probably 2 years, because of COVID. But ministry is serving God and allowing each other to be in fellowship. And that's what's so important. I mean, a ministry is not for ourselves. Our ministries are for the church. I've heard people say, well, I'm not going to do that because, I just don't want to, and I know what I'm getting at. I'm getting out of it. Well, it's not for you. It's for the church. Because if you do something, it's going to benefit all of us. We are all servants of God, and Jesus Christ is the example of a great servant. I know some of you wonder how this church runs. Who supplies the coffee hour? Who does the altar flowers? Who arranges the flowers? Who takes care of the linens? The answer is simple. Ministry. Everything comes back to ministry. So I think I'm kind of glad I followed everybody, because all the ministries that need assistance, this is what we're all about. We all need to be together. As you can see from the list that Dorothy mentioned that's in the back of the church, I had put together this so that everyone can volunteer for a particular ministry. And you don't have to volunteer for a lifetime. I mean, we don't have to be, waiting for Jesus' return for us to be part of this. It is a commitment, it is time, but if you don't like it, you can, after a little while, you can say, I hate this, I don't want to do this, and quit. That's fine. No questions asked. We just want you to volunteer. So if you have a talent, or you like to do something, or you've thought of something, or something else you want to do that we are not doing, one of the things we had talked about was doing the prayers in the back of the church. So that's something that needs to be started. I put together a list of kind of leaders, because I twisted their arms and I just put their names on there. They probably don't want to be a leader, but that's okay. They're going to be great leaders. So if you want to help, you can either call one of these leaders, or you can call myself, or you can call him, or you can call Miss Jackie. And we're going to try, once you sign up, to set you up for training and get you going. The hope was to start February 1st, it's not gonna happen, so maybe by May 1st, we can get going. I've only gotten four responses back from the commitment form, so it's important we have a form because that way we have all your information and we can pass it along to the leader to take over the group. So if anybody has any other questions or any concerns, sorry?
I think you went today, I'm a new member, and
Yes, he did. That's
Bless you.
Father Guy is a new member as of today, and he handed me his form. He said, here's my time and talent commitment form, and I thought, dear God, thank you. He is the third one I've gotten. So any questions? Anything about, don't be afraid, time and talent, you can clean dishes, you can wash floors, you can wash tablecloths. We're happy to have you here, and we're happy to have everyone involved so we can get these ministries going. Thank you.
Read the letter, pray about it, and see what God calls you to do. And then get in touch with one of us. I mean, a lot of people have been doing the same ministry for quite a long time, so I'm sure they would welcome some help. And now, last but not least, this is a new position. Because of COVID, we started streaming. And because we're streaming, we needed somebody who, and we also got our website going, because the church has a website. So she has just the biggest, she's awesome. Katy Drogos is our digital media specialist.
Hello, church friends. Hello. My name is Katy Drogos, and if you haven't met me, I teach at the preschool. My class is 3-year-olds. I'm also involved in children's ministry. I help out on certain Sundays with children's ministry class, and I also teach at Deacon, and I'm also part of the VBS team. I also have a husband named Chris and a 12-year-old son named Magnus. I also get a little nervous when I publicly speak, so I'm gonna sound like I'm gonna cry, and then I'll get over it. Okay, so what does digital media specialist mean? It means that this little website right here, you click on, and you'll find information about our church. You'll find pictures of our church family. You will find events, like special things like annual meeting today. You will also find calendar, which is the Google Calendar, that includes things like arts there after rehearsals, or dig-in, or Girl Scouts. Any information like that gets put onto the Google Calendar. If your ministry has something coming up and you don't see it, and you've already talked to Jackie, you can also re-talk to Jackie, let me know, and I will get it onto your Google Calendar, okay? So, I also, if you follow Facebook, who has Facebook? I love you, old people. I love you. I love you. And with that same little cursor, you can click stuff like the happy birthdays and the anniversaries. There's been a lot of posts with love scriptures on there. All that doesn't just magically appear. It's me typing that stuff in there. So that's all part of digital media specialists. Also, we stream the services, mostly the 9:30 service, but there was the 6 p.m. family Christmas service that was also streamed. That is beyond me. We have volunteers that do that. They stream it, and you can, at 9:30 on Sunday, you can go onto YouTube or Facebook, and you can be part of the service at your house. And I would like us to give a clap to those. Also, in the middle of the week, my son will take Father Richard's sermon and take it out of the whole service, so that if you need a little bit more inspiration, you want to hear his sermon again, between Tuesday and Thursday, you usually can find that on Facebook and YouTube. Or you can go back and find other sermons. Maybe you need a little more inspiration. So, and then the last thing is I can't put pictures by myself, because I can't be at all for your ministry, and you're taking pictures. I'm here, I'm not here, and you're great at photography, or you're not. Give pictures, I want to see them, and there's ways to send them to me. I have a phone that you can text them to me, I have email, or you can go to the Facebook Messenger on Facebook and send them that way. I have a card, and then I'll have my stuff printed into the bullets and as we move forward. Thank you.
She's great. I mean, I got the website started, but I don't know how to run it, so she's taking that on and she's done a remarkable job. I think that's everybody, unless I'm missing someone. Richard?
Yes, I just want to, I'll do it from here. I just want to put in a plug for the program that I'm running, the Intrepid group that I've got, and they are intrepid because they got to put up with me every week. We're migrating through the history of the church. We got through the prehistory, we got through the apostolic age mostly, and we're starting into a whole new area where we're looking at how did the church begin to develop the theology that we profess today. And it's an interesting, it's a complicated, it's a difficult in some ways subject, but it's very important. We meet after the 9:30 service every week, unless I'm not here. We meet over there where the kids have their programming, and everybody's welcome. I'd be glad to have some more people. I'm very proud of the group that I have, but we can always use more bodies. If you think you might be interested, give us a try. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nancy is going to say a word.
Starting on March 3rd, which is a Thursday, I will be starting a 6-week Bible study group in the parish hall. It's called Ministries of the Messiah. It'll be at 6:15 p.m. It's a 6-week course every Thursday evening. And my phone number is in the bulletin each week under the vestry members. If you could text me if you're interested in joining the group, because I'd like to be able to get prepared for the first one. Again, it starts beginning the first one will be March 3rd. So text me, let me know if you're interested so I can get prepared for everybody. Thank you.
And I believe we've hit the end of it, since Katy took mine, I have to
Oh,
borrow.
I'm sorry. Sorry. You got nervous. I was nervous.
I want to thank some people also. Jackie, who is our parish secretary. She keeps me on a good schedule and kind of directs me where I need to go, which I need. Sandra Borchers, who's not here, she does all the cleaning and everything and goes beyond that. So I want to thank her, Denise Vega, and also Denise Vega, who's not here, she's sick today, and didn't want to contaminate everybody else. So want to thank her for all that she does with the children also as well. And sadly, Jackie is leaving us on June 30th. She is retired. And that's a woo-hoo. That woo-hoo was about your retirement, not that you're leaving. So the vestry is going to be working hard to fill her position. So if anybody out there is interested, come see one of the vestry members or myself. Okay. And I believe that's it, unless anybody has anything else. Yes, sir.
I need to take the opportunity as a love to thank all those who feed our souls and those who feed our stomachs as we come to church.
Yes.
Amen.
Many Sundays when you come to coffee hour, we have amazing food. So we're blessed with that too.
And that's why we need to volunteer for the ministries.
You guys Jason already talked about the budget, unless there's any other questions or comments, then we're done. Thank you all for coming. The church is not a church, it's not the walls, it's you guys. You make the church. So I'm thankful for that.
The motion then close.
Let us go in peace, to love, and serve the Lord.